Hi YouTube, this is Felicia with Bible Scraps and welcome to another update to my alternative non-warping plates for the Gemini Junior. Now I am so excited about this sandwich because it has simplified die cutting. It has made it much quicker. And I'm in love with this sandwich because it gets the job done. Now, if you saw my update several weeks ago, I shared possible concerns about my sandwich, but in that video, I experimented with several glues. Well, I am here to report that all is well. And I love this sandwich because it has truly simplified die cutting. It's less expensive, it takes away the frustration, and it makes die cutting for me a lot quicker. Okay, so once again, I am using the Gemini Junior. I love this machine. When it debuted on HSN, I got it. I did a review, and I still bow down to the Gemini Junior because the cutting power is amazing. However, because the cutting power is so amazing, and those of you who have this machine or even the larger machine, you can attest that after a short period of time, the plates don't just warp, but they bow. And you are looking at plates that I used for the Gemini Junior. Now, if you notice that the plate to the right is more bowed than the one to the left, I'll explain why a little bit later in this video. But all of the plates, including the metal shim and the plastic shim that I don't have featured right now, it warps. And when it warps, people, though you have a lot of cutting ability left on the plates, once it warps so bad, and it don't take long to get to that point, your plates are rendered useless for a number of reasons. Number one, it gets harder to put in your machine because you're putting it in your machine like that, and it requires more force and it makes the machine slow down. Also, you can't lay your dies flat, so your dies shift if you don't have it taped down. It shifts, it moves, you waste paper, you get frustrated, you do it over and over again. But looking at these, there's still a lot of cutting ability that's left. But because, and this one in particular, it has bowed, I can't use it. Once again, all the plates with the Gemini Junior over a short amount of time, and I do want to compare to the Cuttlebug plates. Many of us have manual die cutting machines, and all those machines use plates. I have the Big Shot Pro. I have Teresa's Cut Emboss machine and the Cuttlebug, and I have another machine too. And you're looking at my Cuttlebug plates here. I've been using this plate for a couple years. This one too, but I don't use it necessarily as a cutting. I don't cut into this one, not just yet. But take a look. You have very little warping. And that's the case with all of my plates for my other machines. But the Gemini Junior, it's in a class all by itself. I've never worked with plates that warp like the warping done with this machine. And I'm curious, for those of you who have Anna Griffin's new die cutting machine, which is a favorite, it's a hit, I'm wondering how your plates are holding up. Now, leave comments below, only those of you who have extensively used your plates. I'm wondering if they warp or will warp like the Gemini Junior, because there's so much power packed in this machine. That's what's causing the plates to warp. But you can see with manual die cutting machines, the plates don't warp like they tend to warp in the Gemini. With my new sandwich, I am so excited because with this alternative sandwich, you still have the amazing cutting power, but people, all the frustration is gone. So So you are looking, okay, if you saw my last video, you know what all this is about. I'm going to go more into detail a little bit later, but I do want to share the sandwich that I have been working with. Actually, just one plate. Now, I have some dates here. You see November 17th. That is when I started to use this plate here. If you saw my initial video, I used a plate, one of these plates that I used with the Gemini Junior before. By the way, these plates are by Big Shot. I'll have everything linked below. The Big Shot plates do work in the Gemini Junior. So I started off using a plate that was already warped with my new alternative sandwich. But on 11/17, I decided to use a brand new mat, and that's what you're looking at. So let's go back to these two plates and the reason why one is bowed more than the other. This is the one that's bowed more than this one. I actually used this one first with the Gemini Junior, and the power of my alternative plates and with the machine, it kind of flattened the plate a little bit. It still has a curve, but you see a big, well, I'm not sure if you guys could tell, but I do see a big difference. And I must have used this plate, I don't know, 40 or 50 times with my alternative sandwich. But what I want to focus on is this plate here. Once again, I began using it November the 17th. And as of this date, I have used this plate 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, at least 75 times. And I say at least 75 times because I don't keep track of the number of times I use this plate when I emboss. And I have done a lot of embossing. And then sometimes I just forget to mark that I use the plate. But people, I have used this plate at least 75 times, and it is absolutely no warping at all. This is a brand new plate, never used. Let me line these together. Flat as a pancake. Then this next date, November 27th. Well, that comes into play when I talk about these plates and the glue that I used. But since November 27th, I've used this particular mat with these two repaired precision plates at least 40 times. So that will make more sense when I talk more about these plates later in the video. Now, the two special plates that I do use is what you are looking at here, and I will have these linked below. These are by Sizzix. I have one of the original plates that Sizzix came out with, and then I have one of their newer plates, and they're formulated different. You can see this is the older one, this is the newer one. You could see they have a surface difference. Back. Now, in one of my videos, a couple of viewers mentioned that, and I'm assuming the viewers were referring to these plates, stating that they look like they warped. Well, there is, and I don't know if I should call it warping, but you see that I'm holding both flat together. You do see this mat here. You do see how it's a little, it's not as flat. And let's turn it this way. That's better. And let's turn it this way. Sorry for that shake. Overall, these plates are very, in my opinion, they're flat. Now, the reason why they're not as flat in the corners is because, once again, if you saw my last video, you saw this, because these plates, this plate is made of two materials and they separated. And I had to glue it back together. So the reason why it's not as flat on the sides is because of that separation. And do note that there are, it's a crack right there. Now, with my older plate, it started off with a crack. This is the newer plate. But you do see a slight crack right there. And I see like minute cracks right there. That's a result of all the cutting that I have done. But overall, the plates look really good. And mind you that I have used this older plate along with this plate well over 75 times. And it still looks good. Okay, so if you decide to adopt this sandwich, I must give my disclaimer. You can void your warranty on your machine. You can damage your machine. I haven't had any problems, but I have to tell you that. These dies were not made to work with the Gemini Junior, and I'm using 2 of them. You could also damage your non-intricate dies. I guess you could damage your intricate dies, but I do not recommend that you use this particular sandwich that I'm going to share first with your non-intricate dies. I do have a possible alternative sandwich using these plates for your non-intricate dies. But you want to use this sandwich at your own risk, and you want to proceed with caution. I've had excellent results. I'm going to continue to use this sandwich until these plates break down. I'm in it to win it. I love how, for the most part, I get my cuts in one pass. It goes through the machine with no issues. But once again, you could void your warranty, damage your machine, or damage your dies. So before I die cut, I do want to go over some other things. I think it's very important to go over these things, so bear with me, you guys. My sandwich basically consists of 2 of the precision plates and 1 of the cutting plates. And when I die cut, I keep the same plate configuration. I always have this plate on the bottom, and I have this particular mat face down, and I have this plate on the top. I keep the same plate configuration. It's working for me, so it's not broken. I'm not going to try to fix it. I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt to flip it over sometimes, but so far I've kept the same plate configuration. I recommend that you start off with new inner plates. So start off with a new Big Shot plate or a new Crafter's Companion plate, and also start off with a new metal shim or the plastic shim that I don't have with me. You want to start off with brand new plates. You can use older precision plates, but I recommend that you start off with the new plates. And the reason why you want to begin with new plates, well, it defeats the whole purpose of it being easy and quick. So just start off with new plates, and so far, like my plates, it remains flat. I don't see why yours won't remain flat. Okay, so the update to my precision plates. They separated, and what I used to keep them from separating. Well, let me first share the glue, because several of you commented to use E6000. In my last tutorial, I used this Gorilla Glue on one of the plates, and then I used Gorilla Super Glue on the other plate. Well, you guys, I got news for you. One of the plates separated again. So I decided to use E6000. And I used E6000 actually twice over a several day period. I allowed time for the plates to actually bond and cure. And let me tell you, E6000 did not get the job done. No, it didn't. I know it's surprising, but it did not work. It's some type of sticky that's used to keep these 2 plates together. And maybe that interfered with E6000's ability to bond the 2 together. But the one that got the job done was this glue here, Gorilla Super Glue. I used it for that plate that wouldn't bond together, And I used it just one time and it got the job done. So if your plates separate, give this glue a try. Easy 6000 did not work for me. I used it twice. And this particular Gorilla Glue did not work. You saw me use this one in the video. Now, to make sure my plates stay together. Now, you do see how this one is separating here. I didn't add glue to the entire mat, only the part that was separated. So what I'll do is just add a little glue there. And then after each use, I use clips. Yep. And so far, you guys, it's working with no problem. Just like that. And I keep it like that until the next use. I don't do anything to these plates. Oh, here's my plastic. This is the new one that I have. So I don't do anything to these plates, and they have not worked. I must also note that my experiment is ongoing, right? I will, once again, use these plates until I can't use them any longer. And I don't know how long that's going to be. So if you are on the weary side, don't use these plates. Continue to buy the plates recommended for this machine. But once again, so far, I've had great success. I haven't had any problems, but I will continue to examine and provide updates as needed because I want you guys to be informed. Okay, let's get some die cutting done, right? Okay, you guys, so I did some cutting, but I'm not going to include that in this video because I cut into my metal plate by accident. Then I used a die. Part of the die had cut lines and the other part didn't. And so anyway, I switched out my die. I'm going to be using dies that you could pick up right now at Tuesday morning. Well, I'm not sure if you'll find this particular one, but it is so pretty. It's by Spellbinders, Nestabilities. It's called Art Deco, and you get 3 dies. And if I find this online, I'll have it linked for you all. It's really pretty. Look at the shape, like a diamond shape, but it's so pretty. You get 3 dies. So we're going to play with these dies. And the cut that didn't make the cut, I'd use this specialty flocked paper. But I'm just going to use good old cardstock, right? And we will first cut out the large shape. That is so pretty. Okay, my sandwich, you guys. My basic old sandwich. Same configuration. I have this plate on the bottom. I will put my paper down, use some washi to hold my die in place. That's always wise to do. Now, if you have the metal shim, and if you have a really, really intricate die, you could use your metal shim. And I hate that I cut into my metal shim because it was so pretty, pristine condition, but it's still usable. Or if you don't want to use the metal shim, if you need to, you can send your sandwich through twice. I normally just have to send it through one time. Remember, I am keeping the same plate configuration. So this cut, I will, let's see, pass it through one time. And if it don't cut out completely, I'll use my metal shim. And this is by Crafter's Companion. And compare the two together. It all depends on how intricate your dies are. And I could see that it cut all around here, but it didn't cut out the end parts. So this cardstock is by Basil's. I got it from, you guessed, Tuesday morning. So let's see if we got a, uh-oh, I flipped my sandwich. Guess that's A-okay. Well, let's see how we fared. Nope, for some reason, my corners are not. I'm going to use a little piercer tool. Some of these poke out, but you see the edges here. Oh, you know what? That's not supposed to cut out. Duh! That's the same issue I had with the die. The die cut I didn't share. Okay, so this part is not supposed to cut out. Felicia, you are a ding-dong. But some of these pieces that do supposed to cut out, they're not penetrating. Okay, and this normally don't happen when I use these two plates. Usually in one pass, I could get clean cuts, but you will have some dies where you might have to send it through multiple times, or you might just have to use the metal shim. So we are going to do that next. I'm going to share it. Okay, so now I shall get my metal shim and layer it down along with my plate. Okay, let's do this right. Hopefully I did it right. Okay. Okay, you guys. So that was one pass, and it looks very similar to the two pass die cut. These pieces here don't want to penetrate. So you know what I'm going to do? I am going to use, if I still have all my plates, I'm going to use the regular sandwich for the Gemini Junior and then compare it. So let me mark this first. This is two pass. All right, I'm kind of happy this happened because I get to show you guys the frustration, the difficulty when you work with warping plates. So I'm actually using all Crafter Companions mats and plates for this sandwich. And I'm using their recommended sandwich for intricate dies. And you can find that right in the manual. You start off with your plate. And you see how it's warped, right? But I got to use it. And then your plastic shim, which once again is warped. So happy I found that because I would not have been able to do this cut. And then your magnetic plate or mat, it's beat up, but it works. And then your die, which you see here, and the paper on top. I have the die washi to the paper. And then your metal shim, and then your top cutting plate. I'm going to turn it that way. And one thing I did not mention, why I also love my sandwich, it eliminates a lot of different shims, right? I only use usually 3 items to make my sandwich. And this has 1, 2, 3, I'll count it when it comes back out. But take a look how bulky that is. And this has to fit through the Gemini Junior. Well, I'm going to send it through. I do have to give it a push in the beginning to get it through. It goes through. But if you like me and you don't want to work while you craft, and then you don't want to do that, right? But let's see how well it cut out this particular die. Oh, darn it. Not well at all. Oh, man. That's horrible. That is horrible. Okay. Look, it didn't even pierce through. And you know what? This could be because these plates are so warped as well. And I didn't factor that in any of this. If you work with warped plates, it can affect the cutting. Or it could just be that this die sucks. I don't know. Well, I don't want to say the die sucks because you did see, I mean, I got an okay cut. But sometimes the problem is with the die and not so much with the machine or the sandwich. But these pieces, once again, along the corners, they should be able to cut out. So, yeah, you see the comparison. That was a fair comparison, you guys. the Gemini Junior sandwich with the warped plates. I mean, I would use new plates, but I don't want to because they're going to warp. And I don't want to work with warped plates. But you saw the comparison. I do have one other. My other thought was to cut right into the metal shim. But once again, you shouldn't have to do that when you are working with precision plates because they serve as metal. We shall play with the two smaller dies. I do have some paper left over. So hopefully these will yield good cuts. If you guys saw my other videos using my alternative sandwich, and then you know the cutting is really good. It's just with this particular die, something is going on. All right. Let's go ahead and use the metal shim because it's not going to hurt your dies or your machine if you use the metal shim. So if you need to use it, just go ahead and use it. You don't want to waste your paper. So I really recommend that you use the metal shim if you're using your specialty papers, your favorite papers, one-of-a-kind papers, hard-to-find papers, don't want to use papers. Okay, let's see how well. Okay, so what? Okay, this one must has embossing. Okay, some of these lines are embossing lines. And can you see it? It's really faint. Now you can emboss with this sandwich. You guys have to check out my video. I'm not going to cover that here. But let's look at this one. So that part cut out. Now these pieces here, you know, part of me want to return this die. It is so pretty, but it shouldn't be this difficult. Now, those of you who have the Anna Griffin machine and you have this die, I would like for you to cut it out with that machine. But of course, you would need to use the same type of paper to get a fair comparison. But yeah, that should have cut out. This, in my opinion, is not intricate at all, and it should have cut out. It's not the sandwich. So I'm going to assume that it's the die, because once again, if you saw my update videos or any of my videos on my non-alternative sandwiches, I cut out intricate dies with no problem. Oh, and I hate that this is just not getting a good cut. All right, you guys, this final sandwich, I'm a little nervous about it because this particular cut, this pass we are going to do, well, it's going to test my sandwich just to see how well it is. And in comparison to the Gemini Junior when you have brand new plates. Okay, if you guys didn't see my review of this machine, I bowed down to it, right? After I used the most intricate die I believe I have, which is this doily die. If you guys did not see my review video, check it out. Now, if you have been following me for the last 3-4 years, then you know this, well, many of you have this die and you can attest to the difficulty it is to get a clean cut. I even experimented with this die using Teresa Cut Emboss machine. It's very intricate. And so I put the Gemini Junior to a test with this die. And the Gemini Junior cut it out in one pass, right? Perfectly. So I am using the same paper, which is the paper I used in this video, but I also used this paper in that Gemini Junior review video. And I'm going to put it to the test, you guys. Now, because I know it's really intricate, I will use the metal shim, and I'm going to use the sandwich that I have been using with my alternative non-warping metal shim. And then I have this plate face down and this plate. And you guys, we're going to see how well it cuts it out. Now, I have not cut out this doily die with this sandwich at all. So I don't know how it's going to come out, but we shall see. I'm a little nervous. I'm a lot nervous, actually. Will it cut out, and will it cut out in one pass? Now, if I have to do 2 passes, I don't mind, right? Because I'd rather do that than deal with warping plates. But oh my good, well, I almost got excited, but I see here and a little bit here. No. So it didn't penetrate those areas, but you know what? It don't look bad. Oh, and how come it's not coming out? Okay, so I will need to send this through again because it should just come out a whole lot easier. So let's do it again. Okay, so it could be that my plate configurations are not as thick as Crafter's Companion's plate configuration for intricate dies. I could add that plastic shim, but I'm not going to do that. I don't want to overdo it. So if I have to send it through a couple times, I don't mind doing that. So that looks a whole lot better, you guys, a whole lot better. And if I didn't mention it, you cannot use your cut and tidy with this sandwich. It's too powerful. Now, if you have a hard time, if the pieces don't want to fall out, set it on your table and do it like this. And you can see it's coming out. Oh, and it's looking really, really good. Yes, it's looking good, you guys. Okay, so it took 2 passes. But if you have the Gemini Junior and you use their plates, and if they're not warped, you can get it done in 1 pass. But once again, I do not mind 2 passes. And look at that, you guys. Looks good, right? I'll just use my piercing tool and get those several remaining pieces. But that looks good. But you guys, for this video, I'm done. I'm satisfied. I love my sandwiches. If you adopt this plate configuration, remember you may need to use this Gorilla Super Glue. If your plates begin to separate after this video, I will apply some glue here. And the important thing is, after every use your clips, especially if you won't use your machine for several days, even a day. It's not going to hurt to add clips. And since I've added the Gorilla Glue and I've added the clips, I haven't had any problems except for what you see in this video. But I don't think I ever glued, where's it at? I don't think I ever glued that down. And if I did glue it down, perhaps I used one of the other glues. But that Gorilla Glue appears to be the best so far. I will continue to offer updates as needed, but as of right now, the plates are still working. Haven't experienced any warping with this plate. I've used it over 75 times. Remember, you do want to start off with brand new plates. These plates look very good, given that I've used these plates over 100 times easily, you guys. Because remember, I'm not keeping count of the number of times I have embossed and done other things with these plates, and they're still looking good. All right, if you have enjoyed this video, if you have found it beneficial, why not support this video? Give me a thumbs up. Also subscribe, because I will offer future updates, and you will see me use, this is my go-to die cutting machine for wafer thin dies, especially intricate dies. So you will see me use or hear about me using this machine a whole lot more. I do have links below, so be sure to check that out. If you decide to adopt my idea and you share it in a video, please give proper credits and do link back to this video. If you have any questions, do leave those below and I will answer those in future videos. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. As always, blessings.